And we already got the April Fools going on. There was no need for us to even talk about that this go round because we living in it.
I see recording. I don't see Facebook yet.
I'm doing now.
Okay. Oh, let me mute my phone.
I'll give me one little second so I can get the info.
If I mute it, nobody will call. If I don't, bring off the chain.
Okay. Give me just a second, guys. So and welcome to everyone that this is your first time on the community briefing. We are so happy to have you and we look forward to you coming back.
And sharing the knowledge, sharing the link.
Yeah. Okay. And we're gonna go live.
3, 2, 1.
Okie dokie.
We're live.
Okay.
Good morning. Welcome to today's community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed, and we are glad you're here. Today, we've got a great guest, and she's going to be sharing information with us. And her name is Tiffney Liang, and she's the founder of the award-winning Bevy Dave. So we will get into that in just a moment. Yeah, my name is Gregory Sneed, founder and CEO of Lifesaver Financial Services. I help my clients to keep more of the money they make. And April is Financial Literacy and Financial Capability Month. So, one of the things you want to do is get on good terms with your money. Some folks are good friends and some are barely on speaking terms. So, this is the month to get reacquainted with your money. So, now it's my pleasure to welcome to the virtual stage the queen of our community briefing. Let's see, what kind of queen are you for April? Oh, yeah, money queen, the money queen, our money
The money
queen,
queen. The
the
money
money
queen.
queen, because Crystal Mitchell.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you once again. We have, as Greg said, an amazing guest, and we're excited. And we keep bringing all these wonderful people, and people are coming and finding us. This is the platform for us to hear and meet the people that are our leaders and stakeholders that really are making a difference in our communities. And so are we as well. And so we want a place where we can have our honest conversations and about us and for us and uplift us and create this solidarity that we've been needing for many, 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 many centuries. And so we want to thank you. This platform was inspired during the pandemic, actually at the onset of the pandemic. We're actually in our fifth year as of a couple weeks ago, and it was for us. So this is called consistency, guys. And it was a place at that time so that we know exactly what was going on in our communities and where the money was, so we could survive during that pandemic. So here we are 5 years later, and we're finding we're in that same place, and because I think there was lessons that didn't get learned back there 5 years ago, so now those lessons are back on the table. So we need to make sure whatever our part of that lesson is that we get. But this platform is powered and sponsored by Recycling Black Dollars and the BBA, the Black Business Association, with Miss Sarah Harris. We are monetarily sponsored by the Los Angeles LDC, Southern California Edison, Wells Fargo Bank, PCR, Urban Excellence, and SoCal Gas. So if anyone wants their logo up there on our back board there, we would love to have you to support it. You can go to our website. We'll put all that information in the chat to join us. We have an amazing team here. Besides myself, I'm the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars as well as a business coach. And I work with all of a great deal of the organizations in Los Angeles, providing technical assistance, accounting, training, and teaching small businesses how to have a strong financial structure so that they can prepare themselves for growth and to be business ready, bank loan ready, and contract ready. That is what I do with a host of other people. because I don't believe in doing anything alone. I think it's much better when you do it in a group. And so our group here, you've already met Greg. We have Mr. Stephen Turner. He is our producer, doing excellent jobs bringing and coordinating and making sure we have these amazing guests. And then Miss Robin Billups. And I'm going to turn it over to her, and she's going to tell you all about herself.
Greetings, everybody. Robin Billups with the Billups Group. I assess, coach, and help folks to establish a strategic framework around the mission and the vision of their organization and or businesses. I'm excited today because people come into your life for a reason and a season and a purpose. And I had an opportunity to meet our presenter when I was in Washington, D.C. in February. So I'm excited that she's accepted the opportunity to present her wares and to give us a solid understanding of how to educate our Black children. To that point, I'm going to turn it over to Greg so we can get us started, and we will have a good conversation today.
Right on, right on. Okay, our guest today is Tiffney T. Liang. We don't know what the T stands for, but we'll find out momentarily. And she is the founder at the award-winning Bevy and Dave, and that is an award-winning educational company. She's been the visionary and the solutions-driven entrepreneur, and she founded Bevy and Dave and created a company, How to Educate Black Children. And there's a course on that, how to educate Black children. The movement is devoted to helping the global African Black community reach its full potential. She's also an author and professional speaker. Before entrepreneurship, she served in higher education for 17 years, developing leader, and her work ethic has been recognized among industry peers, featured in local, national, and international media, Good Morning America, MSNBC, Voice of America, the Daily Mail, TV, Newsweek, and others. She also serves on the board of Xmode Social, a data tech company, as a BA in mass communications from Wilberforce University, the first privately Black university, and an MBA from Frostburg State University. We did not get a chance to find out where she's from, where she grew up, where she's. Well, looks like you're in the DC area. I'm going to be DC tomorrow. I'll be in near Georgetown. So please join me in welcoming Tiffney Liang.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The community briefing, I'm so excited to be here. Robin, thank you so much. It was such a blessing to meet you and to be sitting here with you and the community to discuss what I've been doing to also help serve our community. Well, like you said, my name is Tiffney Liang. I live in Virginia and Northern Virginia. So that's, it's very close to DC. And when I was working in higher education, I used to teach leadership all the time. That was what I did. I was a leadership developer. But I understood at the same time, we have such a problem in regards to how our children learn Black history. So the school system pretty much, has been the same way for a long time in regards to what they share. And my daughter reminded me just by raising her that children learn through play. And that sparked me understanding I needed to create a toy company. But before I go into that, I am a wife. We've been married 19 years, and my daughter is now 12 years old.
Awesome.
Cool.
I'm like, wait, I skipped it here and I didn't talk about, my family. But my husband has been extremely supportive and such a blessing. It allows me to do what I do. And so I'm grateful for that. So we know what the school system is like. We understand that children are not learning Black history in school. We know that it's limited to oppression and slavery. We get that. We know that. That's been happening for generations now. So since that's the case, I understood that I needed to be part of the solution to contribute something. And once I had my daughter and I knew that children learn through play because I'm watching her, so I'm reminded of our childhood and how we learn, how we understand things. That's when I started to realize, okay, let me create this toy company because I've been passionate my whole life about Black people in general. It's always been a passion of mine since I was a child. So I knew I was going to be doing something in regards to helping us in our community, but I didn't know how and in what way. And then this is where it landed. And throughout that time, after launching in 2016, it really just took off. And Bevy and Dave went on to win, awards. We were invited to the Toy Association. It was a really big gala. Think of it as the Oscars in the toy industry. And so Bevy and Dave was invited to that. And that's when I realized, wow, this really is a toy company. This really is a toy company. So it was just such a blessing and an honor. So Bevy and Dave was recognized. We were nominated for the Toy of the Year award. We didn't get it, but we were nominated. But we went on to win other awards. So that was a blessing. Also, throughout the years, now let me just explain. Starting this toy company, I had a chance to really work with a lot of parents, a lot of educators. Okay. And during this time is when I realized that we needed to change our mindset. If we are able to really fully give our children the best of what we got, because I realized that it's not just about having tools available, but it's about making sure that the adults understand why these tools matter, why our children need it, and why they need it young. And why it's essential that we are involved in the play process. So it's not about just handing over a toy and giving your child something to be busy with, but really being a part of the experience. Because some experience that I had, I'll tell you really quick, was there was a parent in particular who the grandparent wanted the child to have the toys. But the parents said, well, my child is not going to read. My child's not going to play with that. And so the grandparent had to explain that you have to engage the child. And that's when I knew that I needed to do something more to help the parents get a new paradigm. Because in this case, we were disconnecting ourselves from the educational component. And as you know, education starts at home first. And the school system is a whole different ballgame for socialization and not necessarily to educate you about yourself. So that is how I went on to then create the course, How to Educate Black Children. And it's specifically made for Black adults. But I've been doing this now for 8 years. The course came out in December of last year, so literally the end of the year. And Bevy and Dave was founded 8 years ago. Well, launched 8 years ago. And so it's been quite the journey. And during this journey, I've been, really sharing with the world that our children, preschool to elementary, is the target age if we are to develop a mindset of self-love, a mindset of confidence, a mindset of really being where you are understanding that your individual success is not just for you, but it's for the betterment of the community. Mm-hmm. And that takes place with self-love. And so that's what Bevy and Dave is all about. That is what my work is devoted to building that self-love, building that leadership in our children, where they will do their part to help us, grow as a people. So we want to reach our full potential as a people globally. Then we have to do our part in regards to really understanding the power of preschool through elementary age, because it's when they're born that the child's self-esteem, their mindset is being impacted through various means, as we know what they are, whether it's media, whether it's textbook, curriculum, subliminal messages, all kind of stuff. So this is the story really of Bevy and Dave. And I have personally grown since I've launched. I literally went from launching, if you look at any of the interviews that I've done, which has been plenty, not just TV, but magazines, newspapers. I have grown significantly because when I first started, when I launched in 2016, I started off with focusing on Black history, literally African American history. Okay. And then God spoke to me and he reminded me, he said, Tiffany, your history doesn't start in America.
Mhm.
It goes back home to Africa.
Mhm.
So if you're going to have this impact, you have to remember the totality of your history, of your ancestors. And so that's when I knew I had to make it focus on global African history because that is the thing. When we are learning about Black history in America, it's always linked to struggle. And that is part of where the self-esteem issues come in because you got to have something to be proud of. And I began to really get it because I'll show you the product that won the Toy the War of the Year. When I was working on that, when I did the research, I noticed how everything was linked to struggle. African American history is linked to struggle because all the things that I have read, and I have read plenty, we are always fighting up against a system to contribute what we want to contribute. So whether you're talking about Percy Julian, who was a famous chemist, and he is the reason why we have, like medicine for glaucoma and stuff like that. He said in his interview that he could have did more, but he was always discriminated against because they wanted to limit his talents to creating paint. But he had something inside of him that was greater. So we have to reach beyond the struggle and go to the area that shows us leading the world before this happened. And that is where you tap in at. That's what I began to truly understand. And when I studied global African history, that's when I was able to see a lot of the eyes awaken in the children because it's not always linked to that. So when you tell them, hey, mathematics, science, language, arts, okay, all these things are created in Africa, right? The world benefits from the genius of African people. They start to light up. When you explain that the African is the first businessman, the first economist, okay, they begin to light up.
Tiffany,
Yeah.
question. What was the first toy that what was the first product that you invented? When you said
Oh,
that when you first got started, because when you first got started, you weren't looking at it from a global perspective. You were
yeah,
looking at it from a educational perspective.
correct. So the History Makers Puzzle Block set was the first.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was going through that, I created it so that the child can have maximum play. So it's a 30 wood and block set, which has the alphabets. And it has 6 sides of play where each side of this block set has a puzzle. So one side has the alphabet. So when the child is beginning to learn the alphabet, they have that. And then when they get a little bigger, right, a little older, then they're able to now understand the words that are on the opposite side of the letter. So for example, A is for appreciation, B is for Benjamin Banneker, C is for commitment. So now they're getting older enough to be able to understand the meaning behind those words. And then, I'm sorry, the words, right, with the alphabet. And then as they get a little older after that, they're able to learn the meaning. Like, what does it mean to be appreciative? Who is Benjamin Banneker? What did he do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is all in the block set. So every letter stands for something. So it literally grows with the child. It also comes with a booklet. And it obviously is extremely colorful. So when a child is like, right when they're born, like they're engaged with all the colors. So it's really it's a puzzle set. It's really fun and it's different. And the main thing you see when you look at it is leadership lives in everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was important for me for the child to see that and understand that. The other puzzle has, the other sides of the puzzles have pictures of our ancestors and their names and what they have done in a very, um, you know, cartoon type of style so that it
Mm-hmm.
would be fun and playful for the kid.
How
And
did
so,
you decide that? How did you decide this? Talk to us a little bit of how you got started, because it's intriguing to me that you actually went into the toy lane versus
mhm.
into the book lane, or that type of thing.
Yeah, so the reason why, so I interviewed a few people first. I did my homework and I sent out a survey to parents to find out first, what do they do? What do they currently use to teach Black history at home?
Mm-hmm.
And and then I also share, well, what would you like to see on the market? And the top two choices were books and toys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I decided to create a product that would have a book and a toy. Because this
Mm-hmm.
puzzle set comes with a booklet too.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I had to go through a lot of research. Mind you, I'm still working full time at this point. And I just would wake up at 3 a.m. every morning and began the designing process and learn about manufacturing and learn about how do you go about creating such a product. So I did a lot of research. I had to look for manufacturing companies. Obviously, I wanted to do something here in the state, but lo and behold, the United States is just not a really good manufacturing hub for toys,
Stuff.
especially wooden toys. So yeah, so I had to look other places, and so that's what I had to do. I had to go international, and I went to toy fairs to learn the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of homework. But you know what? I will share this for anybody who is interested in the money part. When I was like younger, first of all, when I started this, I was young. But when I was much younger, I was interested in investing. I loved investing. So I had investments that I just did like, in my 20s and stuff like that. But I'm the kind of person who don't really look at my investments every day. I look at it once a year, every couple of years. That's the kind of investor I am. So when God spoke to me in my spirit to create this company, I said, well, where the money gonna come from? I don't have, where's this money gonna come from? And then God reminded me, He said, Tiffany, you have the money. I want you to look in your investment. And that's what happened. So I looked into my investments and I sold some stocks and I was able to use that to build Bevy and Dave.
How did you
And
decide on the name?
my daughter and my brother. So my
Okay.
daughter name is Beverly. So Bevy.
Mm-hmm.
And David is my brother's name, and so Dave. So I wanted to make it cute, Bevy and Dave.
Now, did you have to do, was there any test pilots, or, what do you call those, where you actually, bring folks in and let them test it out, and talk to us about that whole process on how you settled on what you ended up designing?
You know what's funny? Um, I kept all of this, honestly, most of it secret.
Mm,
And the reason why is because I felt like I needed to, and I didn't need to share much. I just knew that I wanted to share once I was done with it. Once I received my first sample was when I shared it, but not with many people. I shared it obviously with my husband,
mm-hmm.
and he saw the sample. I shared it with my siblings. I didn't really share it. I was very quiet to the point of launch day. People thought they were coming to a baby shower. They had no idea that it was a toy company and that the toy was going to be there. But yeah, I didn't really do that. I did a lot of it to my self. I know that sounds weird, but I knew, like I told you, I did a lot of research and I understood that the wooden toy market was good. And I understood that blocks were good for children. So I knew that that was already going to be an interest because blocks, you know, we use as parents for our children. You see it in every preschool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What talk to us a little bit about, you know, what does your product line look like? And then also too, you have the course that you mentioned.
Yeah, so the products are wooden. All of Bevy Dave toys are wooden, by the way. Um, for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you know, it's sustainable and the quality is there when it comes to wood. So Bevy Dave came out with that, and then the following year we came out with another product called the Inventor's Legacy Series. Now, the Inventor's Legacy Series, to me, it was so important to have the faces of the ancestors with their invention. And so you would see that on that particular product. Actually, I'll show that too, if you don't mind. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously everyone goes to the website, but so, and then we came out with more puzzles after that, some books. So a self-help book for children. It's more like a journal. And it's focused on how to help children be their best selves. That book I wrote with my everything in me that I wanted to say to a child, I put it in that book. Everything I wanted to say to them is in there. So that book, Best Self, is one of the most important books, I think, for a young child. And that one goes up to, starts from age 8 to around 11, 7 to 11. But honestly, I've had adults tell me that they thought it was good for them. So some adults have purchased this for themselves, just to be honest. Also, I went into animation after that because I believed animation was important. I knew that our children learn through multiple ways. You got to engage them through different areas. So then I began, the following year, I went into animation. Bevy and Dave have about nearly 8 animation films. These animation films are based on the people that we've already taught them on the learning tools so that the child can learn through repetition and it can actually be in them because that's what we need. So that's how I do the work that I do. I understand how children learn and I make it strategically, intentionally to be in a way that they learn through repetition, through visuals, through colors. And obviously, you know, sometimes our children like to put things in our mouth or things are kind of big so they won't get hurt.
So now, when you talk about this, when I look at your product and I look at the characters, who designed those characters? How did you design? How did you decide on who was going to do that in the animation and that type of thing?
Yeah, so I searched, I don't know if you could tell, but when you see Bevy and Dave, that's my daughter and my brother in cartoon form. So I took their actual picture and then I hired a designer to put them in cartoon form. I even did research on outfits. So I looked at different outfits that I like and I gave them to the designer and they put it all together for me.
If you want to share screen, if you want to share share screen so everybody can see it, if you are able to do that.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Did you share with me already the screen?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
While she's finding that, you know, this is very important. My grandbaby lives in Egypt. She's by ethnicity, I guess. And she's 2.5. So this summer when I went, or last fall when I went, I took her a baby doll that looked just like her, had big pom-poms, natural hair, and the same, almost her coloring. And she fell in love with that doll. And her mom has told me whenever they go out, all the other kids are trying to take it from her. And so now they got a white baby doll, so they take that one, so nobody wants that one. But she learns everything she learns, and she speaks to me in English. She speaks both Arabic and English, and that's because she's watching animation films on YouTube. And so she's learning about her history, her Black history, from shows that I've helped my daughter to make sure she tunes into. And I think it's very, very important. So their identity is developed at a very young age of who they are and how proud they can be of who they are. So I think this is excellent. Our kids need to see images that look like them. So, and doing things that are very positive versus what they see when they go to school or when they are watching the news and so forth. And Black history is not really taught in schools. It wasn't really taught before the current administration. It definitely is not going to be taught from here on out, at least for a moment anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we are. There you go, Tiffany.
Oh, yeah, yeah, exactly. So if you see here, you see, you know, the logo, that's my daughter and my brother. And then you go down and you pretty much see the product. One product I want to share with you really quick. Let me go to shop really quick. This book right here, Bevy and Dave's Adventures, that is such a special book because when I talk about global, this is when I began to include global. So in this book, we have a language, Twi in Ghana, that is taught to the children in there. So we introduce them to some, you know, some of the, short chats that you can do with someone, conversation type of words in this book, so that the child can learn more about an African language. Because I must say to you, and which I'm sure you know, that it's very difficult to find an African language in a language app. If you do, to be Swahili, but no more than that. And we know there's about 2,000 languages in Africa. So I thought that was important, and that's when I began to really be able to start implementing global aspect.
That's wonderful. Show us a little bit about the puzzle set that you were showing us earlier.
Okay. See here. What's that? Let's see. Okay, so you see this. This is the History Makers puzzle block set. And these are the various sides of play. So when you look at this, can y'all see this?
Yes.
You can see the different sides of puzzles. So this is the first side that you see when you actually open it up. And the other sides of play include other parts of the puzzle. You can get a little bit of it here. Right, so we have a picture of Carter G. Woodson, and then we also have a picture of Bevy and Dave on one side, and then there's the alphabet. So you can see here where you can have a little bit of a view of the word and the meanings that come with it, right? So how many of you are familiar with Frederick M. Jones?
That's why you're going to teach us today.
So Frederick M. Jones, right? It's funny. Let me share this with you. I think you might like this story. So Frederick M. Jones, by the way, he is the inventor of mobile refrigeration. And because of him, we have the grocery store industry. All right. It wouldn't exist without him. Now, when I was at the toy fair in New York, just so happened that Wegman was coming by, and Frederick Jones was one of my presenters. So when they came and they saw Frederick Jones and they saw my presentation on him being the reason for the grocery store industry, they were, obviously amazed because Wegmans is a very huge grocery store chain.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they were one of the first grocery stores to carry Bevy and Dave products. And so this is the history makers Jose Black said.
Okay.
This
These
is
make
what,
great gifts. These would make excellent baby shower gifts, excellent birthday gifts.
thank you. Thank you. Let me know if you want me to stop sharing now. I don't know if you
Well,
want
tell me what's under this Learning Lab tab.
Okay, so the Learning Lab tab, when you come here, you click on animation, it'll take you straight to our animation films on YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
And when you click on games, it'll take you to one of our games. So let me open up this so you can see this game. So this is a match game. So this is part of the global African history. And the child learns about history.
Perfect. I'm
Okay.
gonna get these. My grandkids love to play games. This is perfect.
And the reason why I thought it's important to do that, right here you can see for the adult, the history. After they're done matching, they could then learn about the history, understand what that object is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They learn about the great city in Zimbabwe. Because a lot of children and adults know much. How did I get out here?
Now on there also too, you have the course that you have. What's under that tab?
Let me get. Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
So this is where you can go and purchase the course.
Mm-hmm.
But let me take you to the course. Okay, so you go to the course here. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
You can see what's all included in the course. So I would like to show you this if you don't mind these chapters. So obviously we talk about the reason why this course exists. We talk about the inferiority complex, slave mentality, which we all know about in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
We go into the environment, socialization, social identity. We talk about cultural identity and how is it used so people can really understand what culture is, because a lot of people don't really understand what culture is and how is it used daily. We go into cultural alienation, shaping behavior, behavior modification, how our experience as a people have modified our behavior and how we choose to educate our children. Then one of the things that obviously are important is for the parent to learn the difference between schooling and education.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we go into indoctrination methods and how children learn in other classrooms that are in our environment. We go into intentions, and then I end with the solution. So the solutions are there for the parent that can help them start to implement right away the things that they've learned in the course.
Okay.
And lastly, because Bevy and Dave is a company where we focus on a lot of research, I list the references where the parent can go further and do a deep dive on their own and go directly to all of the books, publications, journals that I have read and gone through to understand it more deeply.
This is great. It's much needed when in the environment that we're operating in now. I think you can stop sharing and we can see if there are any questions in the chat box. But I think that it's critically important in the environment that we're operating in now. We're looking for these tools and resources that we can use, that we can share, and to mitigate the onslaught of not wanting us to be who we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so important. And if we can do this, we can see a difference in just 10 years. In just 10 years, we can see a difference. Honestly, being a mom has really blessed me with a deeper understanding because through my own daughter, I'm able to remember human development and how we learn, and at what point do we grasp the most information, and at what point are we pretty much who we're going to be. And I've seen that through my own daughter. So I think it's so important that parents really get this, because I think if we did get it, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. That means we do need help. We do need a deeper understanding. And that's what propelled me to do the work that I do. So I'm grateful to be doing it.
And we're grateful that you were able to come on a community briefing so that we can help spread the word. You know, I think that you go into a bookstore and you kind of get overwhelmed with all the information that's there. But generally speaking, we may have a little section, you know. But what you've done is taken a personal purview, and really it's the same purview all of us have. We want our children to grow. We want our kids to develop. We want them to be successful, upstanding, tax-paying citizens, and knowing that they've been born into an environment where they're not wanted. They really aren't wanted. Matter of fact, I take that back. They want what we have, but they don't want us, right? And what you're doing is you are literally helping us to know who we are and what we're made of. And I think that, you know, my mom's mother died in childbirth. So my mother, I always told my siblings, mom didn't have a mother. So whatever she gave us was what she got from the environment that she was in. And with that, now that you know you have a mom, you know, we have a mom, you know, what are you going to do with that with your kids? You know, so what you're doing, you're creating, I really appreciate this because you're creating generational foundational information that we all can use as not only as kids, but also as adults as well.
Thank you so much, Robin. Thank you. I
Now,
appreciate that.
Shamika, I want you to come on because Shamika, as her kids have autism, and would you give us some feedback on what how you think this would benefit your kids and the kids that you work with, as a matter of fact.
Love it because you put me on the spot. Well, right now, all of my children are adults. 20 is my youngest. My oldest is 32. One thing I did notice that you said, you spoke about those golden years, the preschool days. So my kids were fortunate enough to grow up in St. Louis, Missouri, so they went to Head Start. And what you offer is pretty much a glorified, oh my gosh, it's just so wonderful. It Head Start offered the same teaching methods, but not the curriculum. You know, learning more about, you know, A is for what was it?
Appreciation.
Appreciation. B is for Benjamin Banneker. So the history of us preparing our kids socially, emotionally is something that I noticed, building their confidence, because Head Start did prepare them academically and intellectually, but when they were let off to, let's say, kindergarten, they didn't have uh, that confidence that they would get from your curriculum, you know, knowing that there are other professionals and very progressive and very, oh gosh, what I'm looking for the word. There are people that look like us that are great. That greatness that you give in your product is amazing. And it's not just for preschoolers. I'm going to buy this and play with my adult children.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, I just think it's wonderful. I immediately started thinking about how you should sell licenses to preschools and so that they can use this as a curriculum for our children, to private schools, to charter schools, because really no one knows where to begin to teach us. And I feel like you have the missing piece
Yeah.
right now. And I
Yeah.
really hope that you share it with more, expose it out. Well, you got to be careful because they might steal it. I don't know.
Don't put that
But
in the universe.
right. But this is a diamond in the rough, and I'm so grateful for you. I'm so glad I made it today because I intend on sharing this with everyone I know. I immediately requested the link and started sending it to every mother that I work with. So if they don't see didn't make it here, they can at least go see the replay.
And
But
the
I'm
other
so
thing, and
grateful.
what you're saying too, is it's critically important that the moms will always be looking for this stuff, but the dads need this. You know, the father, these are materials that a man can use when he's trying to figure out how to play with his kids, because, you know, boys like the rough house and all of that kind of carrying on. But, you know, one of my secrets, I would hang articles in the bathroom till the paper turned yellow. Because as my son said, when he's dropping the kids off at the pool, he will sit there and read.
Mhm.
So it was one way to get them to read. So we have to figure out, how do we help immerse all parents, not just and I'm talking, when I say parents, people say, well, I don't have kids. Well, you got nieces and nephews, you got kids. Because we grew up in a time period where we all were, Greg, you're crazy. We all were responsible for each other. You know, at a minimum, in your immediate neighborhood, everybody, you know, what elementary school you went to, you all went to the same middle school, you went to the same high school, you kind of went to the same church. And we as Black people need to get back to that. So Tiffany, thank you very much for the trajectory that you put us on. We will, this audience here, we believe in spreading the word. We believe in sharing the word. And we just, and how did I meet her? I was in Washington, D.C. visiting my godfather, and I called an Uber. And she and I got to talking, and I'm like, oh no, we got to do this. We have to do this. So thank you for accepting the invitation. But more importantly, thank you for following God's word, mission, purpose for your life.
Thank
Because this
you.
is purpose driven.
It's definitely
Crystal,
purpose
you
driven.
work with the youth. Yeah.
I do. I teach kids how to be entrepreneurs. In fact, I just put a flyer in the chat. We do a summer camp for kids every year from the ages of 13 to 18 for the business camp. But I also work. I sit on the board of a tennis program, and so we have about 150 kids on our roster. So if you have some marketing material, please send them over to me. Our children, they're pretty diverse, but our younger kids are pretty much Black and brown children that come to the park, and we see them every Saturday and sometimes during the week. So would love to have that so I can get that out to them. But I do think it's very important. Like I said, with my grandbaby, you know, when children are little, you know, they don't understand what's happening in the whole entire world. And we as adults are teaching. I mean, we're taking care of them and helping them grow up. But sometimes we don't take the time to sit out and talk to them about their history, and we allow that to happen at the school level. And so, of course, they don't get it. I remember my nephew. I think he was at middle school, which was at where did he go? Well, he was in high school actually. He was at Pally High, and they were talking about history, and they got to talking about Black history because it was like in February. It was in February, right? And the conversation became kind of rowdy. The teacher thought it was rowdy, and so he all of a sudden he said they taught him one thing, and because there was conversation and kids had questions, and of course the teacher was white and he had no answers. So the next day they skipped right past Black history and all of the things that took place and went right over to the industrial period of American history and skipped right by anything to do with that. And that's what's happening now. They want to push all of our information, everything about us as Black people, back into a Pandora's box so it never can be seen again. I think this week, the lunatic in the White House indicated that he wanted to reached out to the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., and asked them to remove everything that was DEI and discouraging against the white man, basically white people. So that's the whole entire museum. I've been there many, many times, and you'd have to empty out the museum in order to take anything out that was that didn't talk about that right. And so and just have a building, I guess.
But the building is brown. All of the
And
other
the building
buildings,
is
all the
brown.
other
Even
monuments in LA in DC are white, and the building is brown. So what are they going to do? Tear the building down too?
yeah, right. I mean, even the way the building was built, it was all about the black
That
people.
would
So
really be whitewashing, right?
yeah, that would really be whitewashing. And I assume next they're going to take that. I mean, the next threat is going to be the Martin Luther King
Monument.
statue, a more memorial. So they're trying to eliminate that, so that we can't depend on them teaching our children our history. We have to teach our own children our history and make sure they're proud of who they are, and not just history that took place in this country, but our history that came from the continent. I hear there's a new Wakanda coming out that is supposed to be just absolutely spectacular. It's going to go back to the very, very beginning. And so, yes, this is our responsibility as Black people to teach our children how to become who they are, so that they know that they came from kings and queens, and we can walk with our head high. And no matter what they do, you can't take something away that's already in my heart. And so, and that I know who I am. So I commend you, Tiffney, on creating toys, especially for children, because they don't see toys that look like them. They only see, especially when they go to nursery schools. And I am with Shamika. However you need to do, that's the next. That should be, if you're not already doing that, that should be the next step. Is get your toys and your course into all of the schools that are teaching Black children.
Tiffany, Greg had a question about, what shades and are you as you're building this business, are you including we cover every color in the Crayola box. Over and above the fact we come in every size, shape, and color, And then I also saw that you had Barack Obama in there on one of these. So you're up to date as far as what's happening. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So go back to he said shades. What shades am I including?
Yeah, well, we come in every color in the Crayola box. When you look at these faces on this screen,
Yeah.
know,
they come in. So the event, so for example, all of the complexions that you see on these toys are based on the complexions of the actual person.
Perfect.
That is represented. So we don't change their complexion. We just change their face to look, more child friendly. A cartoon type of look. Yeah, but the complexion always represents the actual person.
So
Yeah.
you're saying that all of your characters are someone that you know?
No.
Or
These are all our ancestors or elders.
Got
The
it. Okay.
majority of the people who are on the current products have
Got it.
passed on, or
So
there
what
are
you're
elders.
saying is Dave and Bevy that's how they look.
That's
And then
how
everybody else is the real person. It's a facsimile of the real person. I get that. Okay.
Yep. So can I mention something really quick?
Please.
We were talking about the course for a second. What I want to mention is that when it comes to the course, it teaches you also how to understand what has happened to us. This is what people need to understand. This is how you protect the children. You have to understand what has happened to you. Okay? So people don't realize that a lot of times we are running on being programmed and conditioned. And our mindset is not necessarily a mindset based on the paradigm that we would have if we were just us. Our paradigm is based on the fact that we are a dominated group, right? So we are a nation within a nation who is dominated, which is why we're always fighting so hard to have certain rights, because we understand that we're dominated. So we have a different kind of mindset that has been shaped because of that. So this course helps you to understand how it happened so that you can prevent the next generation from being a recipient of that type of mindset that is kind of forced into the children. And then it teaches you how to educate the Black child. So I just wanted to make that clear if I didn't make that clear before.
That's very good. Very, very good. Any questions? Anyone else?
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Next week, Greg, do we have? Let me see. Is Steven still on?
Who's gone?
Okay. Next week we have. Let me jump right over there really quick to my LinkedIn. We have Dr. I think her name is Marvell. But hold on one second, guys. Let me just get to it so I can find out who it is.
In the meantime, Tiffany, we just want to thank you for what you're doing. We want to encourage you. I would like to talk to you offline because I'm very much into what Shamika said. How do we get this information in the hands of our educators? And there's an organization, an organization that I met many years ago in the procurement space, and these are people that are in the procurement space around education, where they buy the stuff for schools and what have you. But there are some professional organizations that I think you can align with, and then some other opportunities that we can actually help you to push this, because this is excellent. It is just truly, truly excellent.
Yes, it
you.
is.
Thank
In fact, I would encourage everyone, if you have younger children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, to definitely support her. And that's what it's going to take nowadays, us supporting each other and then letting, the parents of others that have children. So we are thrilled that you are doing that. And it takes all of us. Yes, Marvetta Bozeman is going to be our guest next week. She has recently been elected as the 2025-26 president of the Empire Board of Realtors. And so we want to welcome her to next week. She'll be talking about real estate, obviously. And so we want you to come back for that. We want to thank all of you for joining us, and please share with friends and family what you learned today. Tiffany, know that this is not your family. So please come back and anytime. And these would make, as Robin said, great Christmas presents, great baby shower. You want to get somebody something for baby. This would be unique. It won't be something everybody else is bringing with the diapers and all of that. So, and right now it's really, really important for us all to be able to walk with our heads high, because there's people trying to destroy Easter baskets. I love that idea as well. So thank you for that. And we are coming to our hour. Please, Tiffany, come back to visit us. And everyone that came to hear Miss Tiffany, please, you come back. If you guys have anyone that you feel that would be great to come onto the platform, please bring them, invite them. We're going to let you guys invite them. And I am going to put our YouTube channel so that you can actually go over and see all the other shows that we've had. And you will be put on our mailing list, so you will be getting notifications. Hit that subscribe button, and every time we upload a new video, if you can't make it to the actual the show, then you will actually get to see it, at least in the next few days or so. We've had some amazing people sharing some incredible stuff. So thank you so much. And all those that here are new, please come back and go tell some friends and lots of friends so that we can grow this channel. And then our people, Joseph, hello. Joseph has been on one, man. He and I guess we in competition on dispelling the nonsense that's out there. And Miss Emma, hello. How are you guys? How are you? Glad to have you. Before we leave, I just found out, you guys some of you already know, we want to send out blessings and prayers to Constance Anderson's family. She was an amazing young lady, and she's passed, gone on to the hereafter. Yeah, I know, Greg. I was shocked yesterday too. But so we want to pray for her family and her friends. She had an amazing network of sister friends. And so
Mhm.
all of us women here, we all have sister friends that sometimes are better than the ones that we were born with. And they are there for us all the time. And so I'm sending prayers and blessings to all of her sister friends in her network, because I know this is hard for you guys right now. So prayers for you
And
and your
brother
family.
friends.
Oh,
Constance
brother
was a
friends too,
longtime
sister
friend.
and brother friends.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It
I
was
met
a
Constance
shocking
when,
bit of news to get
yeah, it
on, I think it
was.
was Monday after.
Yeah, I just heard about it yesterday. I was in shock. I had to call around. I was trying to find everybody yesterday to talk to find out what the heck is happening. So I actually ended up talking to Sarah. I met Constance at First and Me. That was the church. That's how I also met Joseph Duncan and Greg Sneed at the Bible study, actually, when Reverend Murray had that awesome Bible study that everybody came from all over the world to be part of every Wednesday night, and that's when I met her as well. So it goes back to when I was a young person in my 20s, and so sorry, it was just kind of devastating news to hear. So that's what I wanted to say. So next week we will be back, guys, and we hope to see you all back. So
Thanks again,
have a great
Tiffany.
one.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm gonna stop the
Thank you.
recordings. So for the
Okay, I
ones
got
that
at
want
12
to,
o'clock, so I'll
okay. Yeah,